The Galactic Senate had seen many rebellions, many uprisings, and many broken empires, but never silence. And today, silence was the most terrifying thing in the galaxy. A grand broadcast echoed across the stars, reaching every system and every species under Senate control. Inside a giant star chamber made of crystal, light, and floating energy rings, thousands of alien leaders gathered. Their skin colors shifted under the bright glow, their eyes focused on the center stage. The meeting began when a small, trembling alien messenger stepped forward. His hands shook so badly that even the glowing crystal floor beneath him dimmed. He swallowed hard and announced, "Humans have ignored our demand for tribute." A wave of noise crashed through the entire chamber. Some aliens hissed. Some shouted. Some leaned back in disbelief. Ignoring a tribute demand? That had never happened in the 10,000-year history of the Galactic Senate. One senator slammed his metallic tail on the floor. "Impossible. Earth is a new world. They are weak. They should have obeyed the moment we asked." Another creature with sharp silver feathers hissed. "Maybe their message was delayed. Humans are slow. Their technology is primitive." But deep down, none of them truly believed that. Because Earth had not replied after 1 hour, after 1 day, after 1 week. Earth was not slow. Earth was silent. And silence from a new species was a problem. The High Speaker of the Senate, a tall creature of swirling smoke and armor, rose from his floating throne. His voice echoed like rolling thunder. "Humans must be taught their place." The chamber filled with agreement. War drums began whispering in the minds of the Senate members. They had crushed worlds for far less. A planet ignoring them was not a small insult. It was a challenge. Ships could be sent. Armies could be deployed. A quick show of power would make humans kneel. But before the war plans could begin, an old alien historian slowly stood up from his seat. His back was bent. His 3 eyes were filled with fear. His hands shook as he leaned on his crystal staff. No one paid attention to him at first. He had been silent for many years, always observing, never speaking. But today he looked terrified. His voice came out soft, but every word echoed with a strange weight. "Do not provoke them." Dozens of aliens turned to stare at him. The High Speaker frowned. "And why not? They are a young species. They have no fleets that can challenge us." The historian closed his eyes. "You do not understand humans. You do not know what they really are." Silence fell instantly. The crystal lights dimmed. Even the floating screens flickered. The Star Chamber had hosted thousands of debates, but never had an elder spoken with this kind of dread. The High Speaker narrowed his dark, smoky form. "Explain yourself." The historian opened an old hologram on his staff. Strange images flickered, ancient human wars, burning skies, cities falling, and humans still standing. Humans fighting. Humans surviving. Humans adapting. Every empire that has studied them, the old being whispered, has made the same mistake. "And what mistake is that?" a senator demanded. "Believing that silence means weakness." The historian's voice grew thinner, even more afraid. "When humans are silent, they are preparing." Whispers rippled through the chamber. The Senate did not like mystery. They did not like unknowns. And humans had too many unknowns, too much unpredictability, too much chaos, too much potential. But most of all, humans had something dangerous. A will that refused control. The old historian continued, "You think they are weak because they are new. You think they will bow because you told them to. But humans do not bow. Not easily. Not ever." The High Speaker slammed the ground with a burst of crackling energy. "Enough. We demand tribute from every new species. It is tradition. It proves loyalty to the Senate. Humans will obey or face destruction." The historian lowered his head. "You may start a war you cannot end." The chamber grew still. For the first time, fear touched the Senate. What was Earth hiding behind its silence? Why was there no answer? Why had no scout ships returned? What were humans planning? Every alien in the room felt the weight of those questions. But curiosity and pride pushed them forward. Finally, the High Speaker made the decision. "We will send a final demand. A message that cannot be ignored. If the humans refuse again, we shall force their surrender." The floating crystals brightened as the order was recorded and broadcast across the galaxy. A final demand. A final warning. A final push into a conflict they believed they would win easily. But none of them realized that by sending this message, they were not warning humans. They were awakening them. The historian whispered the last words, barely audible. "You are waking something dangerous." No one listened. The Senate believed they were in control. But in a quiet corner of the galaxy on a blue world called Earth, humanity opened its eyes, and the galaxy was about to learn the cost of demanding tribute from humans. The message from the Galactic Senate spread across the stars like a burning comet. It crossed nebula clouds, dark sectors, abandoned outposts, and busy trade routes, until finally, it reached the small blue planet the aliens called Terra. The Senate expected a quick reply, a frightened reply, a humble reply, but Earth stayed silent. 1 hour passed. Nothing. A day passed. Still nothing. A full week passed, and Earth did not send even a single word. Inside the Galactic Senate, fear began to grow like a cold shadow. Alien leaders gathered again in the crystal star chamber. Their bodies glowed from the bright crystal rings circling the room, but their expressions were tense, uncomfortable. The high speaker, made of swirling smoke and armor plates, floated toward the center. "Report," he commanded. A younger alien analyst with bright yellow eyes stepped forward. Her hands shook as she opened the latest data on a floating holoscreen. "My speaker, we have sent the final demand for tribute. Earth has not replied." Murmurs filled the room. "How dare they? Are they mocking us? Maybe their system is damaged. Perhaps they are too simple to understand the message." But deep down, everyone remembered the historian's warning. Silence is not weakness. Silence is preparation. Still, pride kept the Senate from admitting fear. Another alien officer, tall and armored like a walking tank, hit his fist against his chest. "Send scouts," he growled. "Let us see what the humans are doing." The high speaker nodded. "Yes. Send 10 long-range patrol ships. They will enter human space and retrieve information." But the old historian stepped forward, leaning heavily on his crystal staff. "Do not send scouts," he whispered. "Humans do not like being watched. You risk angering them." The armored officer laughed, a deep, metallic sound. "Humans? Angry? They are a primitive species. They barely touched interstellar travel." A ripple of uneasy agreement passed through the chamber. The historian simply closed his eyes. The Senate did not listen. Within hours, 10 Silver Scout ships jumped into hyperspace, heading straight toward human territory. The Senate expected the scouts to return with simple answers, but instead they received nothing. Not a signal. Not a word. Not even a distress beacon. Every ship vanished. The chamber erupted into chaos. Where are the scouts? They didn't return? How can humans destroy long-range ships? Their technology is too weak. This makes no sense. Fear crawled like a cold wind across the room. The high speaker tried to calm them. "Silence. We will send a stronger fleet. Humans cannot challenge our power." But this time, no one looked confident. A different officer, thin and insect-like, stepped forward. "My speaker, the scouts entered human space exactly 17 minutes after the message was sent." And 17 minutes after entering human space, every ship vanished from our trackers. The chamber became unnaturally quiet. Alien tracking systems were the best in the galaxy. Even black holes could not hide a ship from their sensors. But those 10 scouts simply disappeared. One senator whispered, "Did humans destroy them, or did something else?" No one had an answer. The old historian finally spoke again, voice shaking. "You do not understand humans. They grow stronger when threatened. They do not like being controlled. And when they prepare, they become something dangerous." The high speaker glared at him. "What are you saying? That humans can defeat the Senate?" The historian's eyes trembled. "I am saying, you should leave them alone." But it was too late for peace. The Senate had been insulted. Their pride was wounded. And wounded pride is more dangerous than any weapon. The high speaker slammed the floor with a burst of smoky energy. "We are the Galactic Senate. No new species disrespects us. Prepare the Grand Council fleet." Gasps filled the chamber. The Grand Council fleet was used only against empires that threatened the entire galaxy. Millions of lives moved when this fleet moved. Stars trembled when its engines activated. The historian tried again, almost pleading. "Do not send the fleet. If humans feel threatened, they will answer with full force. You cannot imagine the price." But he was ignored. Pride, arrogance, fear, all mixed into one deadly decision. The high speaker declared, "Humanity will bow. And if they refuse, they will be erased." The order was sent across star systems. Massive warships began to power up. Energy reactors roared like newborn suns. Thousands of cruisers aligned into attack formation. The galaxy watched in silence. Every species felt something strange. Chill. A warning. A sense that something terrible was about to happen. On a distant star map, human space glowed quietly, calm, silent, untouched. And then, a small, blinking light appeared on the Senate's main screen. Incoming transmission. From Earth. The chamber froze. Every alien turned toward the glowing message, hearts pounding, eyes wide. At last, humans had replied. Their message contained no threats, no excuses, no apologies. It contained only one word. A word that would change the galaxy forever. Denied. And that single word was the moment the Galactic Senate realized. Humanity was not afraid. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not silent anymore. They had just awakened something they could not control. The single word, denied, echoed through the Galactic Senate chamber like a thunderstrike. Every alien froze. Every eye stared at the glowing message floating in the center of the crystal hall. Denied. Not refused. Not delayed. Not negotiated. Just denied. It was the shortest reply ever recorded in Senate history, and somehow the most dangerous. The High Speaker's smoky body tightened. What is the meaning of this? He growled, though every alien in the room could hear the fear behind his voice. No new species had ever denied a tribute demand. No young world had ever defied the Senate. No one, ever, had dared to answer with one cold, empty word. The chamber crackled with tension. A feathered senator hissed. Is this a joke? A human prank? Another alien shouted. They cannot insult us like this. But the old historian leaned on his trembling staff and spoke softly. They're not joking. Humans rarely joke in matters of war. A chill spread across the room. The High Speaker opened his voice again, louder this time. Open a live channel with the human leader. We will speak face to face. The communication officers worked quickly. Crystal panels shifted, energy rings rotated, searching for the origin of the human transmission. Finally, a hologram flickered into the center of the chamber. A human appeared. One man. Standing tall. Calm. Expressionless. Almost too calm. He wore no armor, no symbols, no signs of military rank, only a simple dark uniform. Humans usually looked small compared to the towering alien species, but this man seemed bigger than the entire room. The High Speaker spoke first. You are the representative of Earth? The man nodded once. Yes. The words were simple, but they carried weight, like someone who did not fear the entire Senate staring at him. The High Speaker's tone turned sharp. You received our demand for tribute. Your people must obey the Senate's laws. Why did you deny us? The human did not blink. Because we do not serve. A wave of shock tore through the chamber. Some aliens gasped. Some stepped back. Some felt their hearts drop. It was not just what he said, it was how he said it. Calm. Controlled. Empty of fear. The High Speaker tried to stay composed. You understand that refusing tribute means war? Yes, the human replied simply. Another shockwave of fear spread. The historian stepped forward slightly, staring closely at the human's cold, steady eyes. Human, he said softly, do you truly understand who you are defying? The human finally shifted his gaze toward the old historian. We understand better than you think. The room fell silent again. No shaking. No nervousness. Just confidence. Sharp, controlled, terrifying. The High Speaker exploded with anger. You dare threaten us? Your scouts have already been dealt with. The Grand Council fleet is ready to move. You cannot possibly stand against us. The human remained still. We destroyed nothing, he said. Your scouts crossed into restricted space. They were warned. They did not turn back. So you did destroy them, a senator shouted. The man's reply was colder this time. They left us no choice. A deep quiet followed. A quiet that felt wrong. A quiet that felt like the air was thickening. The human continued. We sent no message because we saw no reason to explain our actions to invaders. Your Senate trespassed. Your ships ignored boundaries. You demanded tribute as if we were slaves. The High Speaker's smoky form flickered, showing his growing panic. Humanity is new to the stars. You should respect those who control them. The human's expression remained blank. We respect no empire that conquers others. Those words cut through the chamber like a blade. The old historian suddenly looked tired, almost defeated. I warned them, he murmured. But none listened. The High Speaker slammed his fist against the crystal floor. You threaten us with war? The human shook his head. No, we do not threaten. He leaned forward slightly. We prepare. A cold shiver passed through every alien present. Simple words, spoken calmly, but filled with a terrifying promise. The human continued, "Your fleet is large, your weapons are strong, but you make one mistake." "And what mistake is that?" the High Speaker hissed. "You believe humans fear war." He paused. "But humans do not fear war. We survive it. We grow from it. We master it." The chamber lights flickered. "You are used to species that kneel when pressured. We do not kneel." The human's eyes hardened. "We warned your scouts. This is our second warning. There will not be a third." The hollow screen crackled. The transmission ended. The human vanished. The chamber was left in stunned silence. The High Speaker tried to speak, but no words came. The Senate had demanded tribute, and humanity had responded with something far more frightening than war. Confidence. Control. An absolute certainty. The historian finally whispered the truth everyone was afraid to hear. "You have awakened a species that does not break. A species that grows stronger when challenged. A species that has fought itself for thousands of years, and survived." He looked around the chamber. "You did not frighten them, you motivated them." The chamber trembled as fear settled deep into the hearts of every alien present. The unexpected war had begun, and the galaxy had no idea what was coming. For a long moment after the human transmission ended, the galactic Senate chamber remained frozen. No one moved. No one spoke. Even the bright crystal lights seemed dimmer, like the room itself was afraid of what had just happened. The High Speaker finally broke the silence. "Reopen the channel," he ordered. The communication officers tried, but the hollow screen flickered red. No signal. Connection closed by Earth. Humans had cut the link. The entire Senate erupted. He ended the call? "Humans cannot dismiss the Senate. This is madness. Are they challenging us to war? Why are they not afraid?" Panic spread like wildfire across the crystal hall. The High Speaker tried to regain control, but his smoky form trembled. "Calm yourselves. We are the rulers of the galaxy. One primitive species cannot threaten our power." But his voice lacked its usual strength. Everyone had seen the human's face. Everyone had heard his cold, fearless words. Everyone felt the weight of that silence when he stared at them. It was not the silence of weakness. It was the silence of confidence. A silence that said, "We are ready." A senator with bright silver feathers stood up sharply. "We must analyze their technology. How did they erase our scouts so fast?" Another senator shouted. "And why did their signal carry no identifiable origin? We cannot even track where the message came from." The insect-like officer from before stepped forward. "My Speaker, I have studied the human transmission. It was not sent from Earth." The chamber fell silent. The High Speaker's shape flickered. "Then where did it come from?" The officer's wings twitched nervously. "It came from space. Deep space. A region with no colonies, no stations, no recorded human structures." The chamber buzzed with fear. How can they send a message from empty space? Are they building hidden bases? Do they have stealth ships? That is impossible. Humans have barely begun star travel. But none of the senators sounded confident. The old historian stepped forward slowly. His face looked older than it had ever looked. "You still do not understand." He lifted his trembling staff. "For thousands of years, humans have adapted faster than any species we know. When they face danger, they do not freeze, they evolve. They change. They grow." A senator hissed angrily. "Why did we not know this earlier?" The historian's voice cracked with sadness. "Because no one believed me." The High Speaker floated closer. "Enough. Humans are still weaker than us. Their population is small. Their fleets are small. Their world is one planet." But the historian shook his head. "You see numbers. You see maps. You see statistics." He raised a trembling finger. "But you do not see humans." The entire chamber listened. For humans, war is not an event. It is a teacher. Each conflict makes them stronger. Each loss makes them smarter. Each threat makes them unite. The High Speaker growled. "This is fear talking. Humans will fall like every young species." The historian looked directly into the speaker's swirling face. "And what if they don't?" Silence. Cold. Heavy. Suffocating. The insect-like officer suddenly called out, panic in his voice. "My Speaker." New readings from the border. Everyone turned toward the central holomap. Lines of yellow lights blinked on the edge of human territory. The High Speaker demanded, "What is that?" The officer swallowed hard. We detect movement." "Alien fleets?" The officer shook his head. No. Human ships. A wave of shock shook the chamber. Human ships. They cannot field fleets this quickly. They have no advanced reactors. Are you sure? The officer zoomed in on the map. Hundreds of small dots appeared, then thousands. But they weren't moving in random patterns. They were forming shapes. Precise formation. Perfect alignment. Military discipline. The dots moved like a single organism. A united force. The high speaker's voice cracked. This cannot be. Humans do not have this capability. The historian whispered. They do now. The chamber descended into chaos. Senators shouted orders. Officers rushed to consoles. Security forces entered the hall. Emergency alarms echoed above their heads. The high speaker tried to take control again. Prepare the Grand Council fleet. No hesitation. But the historian stepped in front of him. No, he said firmly for the first time. Sending the fleet now is suicide. The high speaker roared. Stand aside. This is our galaxy. We decide who rises and who falls. The historian slammed his staff onto the floor. The crystal ground lit up with ancient data. Images appeared. Human tanks rolling through burning cities. Human soldiers fighting even when wounded. Human pilots flying through impossible storms. Human ships rising from battlefields rebuilt stronger than before. Human eyes filled with unbreakable will. These are not the images of conquerors, the historian whispered. They are the images of survivors. A hush fell over the chamber. The historian looked around at the leaders, the generals, the officers, every one of them frozen with fear. You believe they will break because you threaten them. His voice grew heavy. But humans do not break. The holomap suddenly glowed bright red. A new alert flashed. Unidentified object exiting hyperspace. Course, directly toward Senate space. A massive dot appeared. Much larger than the human ships. It glowed with energy unlike anything the Senate had ever seen. The officer's wings shook violently. My speaker. Something is coming. The high speaker stared at the growing signal. Is it from Earth? He whispered. The officer shook his head, terrified. No, it is coming from the deep space region where the human transmission originated. A chill crawled across every alien's spine. The historian whispered the words no one wanted to hear. This is not Earth's fleet. He turned slowly toward the senators. This is whatever the humans were preparing. The chamber erupted into full panic. The unexpected war had officially begun. And the Senate's greatest fear was now clear. Humanity was not defending itself. Humanity was coming. The Senate chamber froze. Every alien leader stared at the hologram of the human message that now filled the air. The words were simple, polite, almost calm. Stand down. Leave our borders. No tribute will ever be paid. Nothing else. No threats. No insults. Just a quiet, cold refusal. For a moment, the Senate members did not even know what to say. It felt unreal. Humans were new to the galaxy. Humans were young. No empire had ever refused a Senate demand in this way. Not even the great powers. Silence stretched across the huge crystal chamber. Then the shouting began again. They challenge us. A tall, insectoid general stabbed his staff on the floor. They dare reject the Senate? We should crush their world immediately. A reptilian admiral growled. Yes. Humans do not understand their position. They will learn. More voices joined in. Some angry. Some scared. Some proud. Only the old historian said nothing. He watched the hologram quietly as if seeing something the others could not. The supreme speaker finally raised his hand. The chamber dimmed. We will respond, he announced. A fleet will go to Earth within 3 cycles. If humans wish to defy the galaxy, they must face the consequences. Half the chamber cheered. But the historian's face went pale. The historian's warning. When the meeting ended, he tried to speak to the speaker privately. Please, do not send the fleet, he begged. You do not understand what humans truly are. The speaker frowned. They are a young, overconfident species. Nothing more. No, the historian whispered. You have not seen what I saw. Long ago, I found an old record from a dead empire. Mentioned Terrans. He hesitated. It said humans grow stronger the more they suffer. It said they adapt too quickly. It said they have a strange power, something no scanner can detect. Something in their minds. The speaker laughed softly. Old legends. Ancient myths. You worry too much. The historian shook his head. Legends only survive when something real keeps them alive. But the speaker ignored him. Earth receives the threat. Back on Earth, the Galactic Senate's final message arrived in the United Human Confederation control room. A group of human officers listened as the translation finished. Submit within 3 cycles. Or face the united might of the Galactic Senate. The room stayed quiet for a few seconds. Then the human commander smiled slightly. 3 cycles? They're giving us time? How polite. Another officer chuckled. Sir, should we send a reply? The commander shook his head. No. We will prepare. If they come, they will learn why nobody threatens Earth. The Senate fleet moves. 3 cycles later, the largest Senate armada in centuries gathered above the glowing rings of Ralos Prime. 2,000 warships. Fortress-class carriers. Energy cannons strong enough to break moons. The fleet admiral faced his officers. Humans are primitive. Do not fear them. Today we teach Earth its place. The armada jumped to hyperspace. Across the chamber of the Senate, cheers broke out as the fleet vanished toward Earth. Only the historian looked sick. They are not ready, he whispered. None of them are ready. First contact. On the edge of Sol System, the armada exited hyperspace. Sensors activated instantly. The admiral ordered, scan Earth. Track all human ships. But the scanner showed nothing. No movement. No panic. No defenses charging. It felt wrong. There. A signal, an officer shouted. Something was approaching from behind Earth's moon. The alien fleet turned toward it. At first the object seemed small, maybe a patrol craft. Then it came closer. And closer. And closer. The admiral's eyes widened. That is not a patrol ship. The object emerged fully from the moon's shadow. A single human warship. Black armor. Silent engines. No visible weapons. Yet every alien on the bridge felt a cold pressure in their chest, like something was watching them from inside the ship. What is that thing? Whispered the officer. The admiral swallowed. That cannot be human technology. The human message. The dark warship broadcast one short signal. Only 5 words. Leave now. Last offer. Silence spread across the entire armada. Some ships locked weapons. Others backed away in fear. No one understood how one human ship could make an entire fleet hesitate. But the admiral refused to surrender. Fire on the vessel, he commanded. Weapons charged. Beams of energy shot forward. And stopped mid-space. Like they had hit something invisible. Then, slowly, the human warship's armor shifted. Panels opened. Light began to rise from inside the ship. Not weapon glow. Something deeper. Older. Alive. The admiral felt a tremor in his bones. What, are humans? The alien armada hung in silence. Every ship, every captain, every soldier stared at the human warship glowing with strange light. It was not bright like a star, but heavy like something ancient waking up. The admiral felt the floor under his feet vibrate. The light from the human ship spread outward in slow, calm waves. It is scanning us, an officer whispered. No, the admiral said, voice shaking. It is judging us. The human message still floated on the screen. Leave now. Last offer. No threats. No anger. Just a warning that felt older than the galaxy itself. Fear spreads through the armada. On hundreds of alien ships, panic started to grow. Engineers stepped back from their consoles. Pilots felt their hands shaking. Soldiers whispered prayers in their languages. A small reptilian officer said in a broken voice, Admiral, I think we should retreat. No, the admiral shouted. If we retreat, the Senate will call us cowards. Humans must not see our fear. But the truth was clear. The fear was already leaking through every part of the fleet. For the first time in centuries, the United Armada faced an enemy they did not understand. A silent threat. The human ship did not move. It simply watched. One glowing eye-like sensor focused on the alien armada. Every alien who looked at it felt the same sensation, like something ancient was looking into their minds, reading their thoughts, measuring their fear. One officer fainted. Another started crying. The admiral forced himself to stand tall. Charge all weapons. We fire together. But the moment the fleet tried to charge their weapons, every weapon in the armada shut down. Lights dimmed. Power gauges flatlined. Cannons went cold. The officers screamed. Admiral, our systems, they're dead. We cannot fire. We cannot move. We have no control. The admiral felt his heart stop for a moment. What did the humans do? Inside the human warship. Deep inside the human vessel, A human commander watched the frozen alien armada calmly. His voice was steady. They fired first. They made their choice. A second officer nodded. All systems ready. The Armistice Corps is awake. The commander placed his hand on a control plate. Scan their minds. Check fear levels. A screen filled with glowing alien silhouettes. Almost all were shaking with terror. Retaliation protocol? The officer asked quietly. The commander breathed slowly. No. We will not destroy them. The officer looked surprised. But sir, they came to invade Earth. Yes, the commander said. But they were lied to. They do not know what we are. He pressed another button. Send them the memory. The vision. Every alien on every ship suddenly screamed. Their minds were filled with images, memories, like a storm entering their heads. They saw humans fighting monsters older than stars. A human standing against ancient cosmic gods. A humans surviving impossible worlds. A humans rebuilding civilizations after apocalypses. Humans rising stronger every time they almost died. The aliens saw Earth not as a weak young world, but as a survivor, a species shaped by endless struggle, endless danger, endless war. A species that should not exist. A species that refused to die. The admiral collapsed to his knees, shaking. What are they?" he whispered. The human ship's light intensified, and the voices in the aliens' minds spoke. "We survived what your ancient empires could not. Do not awaken what sleeps on Earth." When the vision ended, many aliens were crying. Some couldn't stand. Some couldn't speak. The admiral finally forced himself up. "Retreat," he whispered. "We must retreat." The retreat. The Armada regained control of their systems only after the human ship allowed it. One by one, alien ships turned away from Earth. No one argued. No one resisted. For the first time in galactic history, a full Senate Armada retreated without firing a single successful shot. As the fleet jumped back into hyperspace, all the aliens felt the same cold truth. They had not survived a battle. They had been spared. Back in the Senate chamber, the Senate leaders waited proudly for news of victory. But when the Armada returned, silent and broken, the chamber grew tense. The admiral walked forward, eyes hollow, hands shaking. "No tribute," he said softly. "No demands. No threats." He swallowed hard. "Do not disturb the humans again." The chamber erupted. "What happened? Where is the battle report? Where is the human fleet?" The admiral shook his head slowly. "There was no fleet. Just one ship." A wave of disbelief spread. "One ship defeated you?" a senator shouted. "No," the admiral whispered. "One ship warned us." He turned his eyes toward the historian. "You were right. Humans are not what we thought." The historian said nothing. He already knew this day would come. Now the whole galaxy did too.